Once again, hello everybody, and welcome to this January meeting of ANC3C's Residential Historic Preservation Committee. We appreciate your joining us. This committee, like all of the ANC committees, is set up both to provide an additional opportunity for engagement with the community and also as an assist to the ANC, the full ANC, in carrying out its responsibilities. And as a result, we will hear presentations and there's an opportunity for questions, including from the community. If any community members are here, um, none of the ANC members will be taking a decision tonight. But after the presentation, I'll be explaining next steps for the ANC and how we expect to handle this going forward. We had three matters noticed for tonight's meeting. One of them has dropped and will be coming back, I believe, at a later time. But currently we have two matters. The first is in 35th Street, and we have Ms. Fadiami here. I don't yet see Miss Atkinson. So if she hasn't joined yet, with your permission, I think we'll go to the Lowell Street driveway project. Mr.
That
Land
works.
is,
Yeah, that works. Thank
okay,
you.
great. Well, thanks. Mr. Landsman, is anybody else appearing for your project?
No, sir, just me.
Okay, great. Well, my colleague Commissioner Pagets has made you a co-host, and so if you would like to present any slides, why don't you go ahead and start that?
Okay, sure, yeah, love to. Give me 1 second to pull up my presentation. All right, it should be coming through. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for having me. My name is Martin Landsman. I'm with CAS Engineering, and I'm here to present a new driveway project at 3508 Lowell Street Northwest.
Okay, and sorry to interject, but I think it would help Commissioner Pagets and me if we understood a little bit more of the context. I'm quite familiar with this stretch, this block of Lowell Street, and I would say probably about 2/3 of the homes have driveways, and a third do not. So maybe provide a little bit of the background, the project concept, why the applicant is seeking it, and some of the issues as you go through your presentation that you considered and how you decided to address those.
Sure, yep. I think a lot of the stuff in my presentation will address. One thing that isn't in my presentation that you mentioned was the number of driveways on that block of Lowell Street. There's 7 properties on our side of the street, and they all are accessed by a driveway. One of them shared, and one of them goes out to 36th Street on the corner. But I'll just dive in here. This is our site location on the south side of Lowell Street between 35th and 36th. And if you can see my mouse, these two homes here share a driveway. Every other home on the south side of here, except our subject property, has a driveway off of either Lowell Street, or this one on the corner comes off of 36th. Here's a photo of our property. This is looking south from the street, Lowell Street. Our project proposes to install a driveway on the right side, the west side of the property. It'll be right in the location where those concrete steps are shown, and it'll lead to a parking stall on the side of the home. It will require removal of this street tree. This is a red oak that's in fair declining condition. This plan shows our existing survey demolition plan. Here's that red oak tree I mentioned that's going to be removed. We've met on site with Urban Forestry, Aaron Rowe, he's the urban forester for the neighborhood, and discussed the project, and he's supportive of us planting a replacement tree to the west of this location to offset this removal. Moving south from there, this is the set of concrete stairs, and there's a slate walk that will be removed to make space for this driveway. On the right side of the property, there's another street tree that will remain and be preserved. And there's another set of steps and a slate walk that leads up to the covered porch and front door of the home.
Okay, and sorry,
sorry.
I'm just trying to read the plan.
Oh, sorry.
The current distance between the front porch and it appears the sidewall of the home to the property line is currently a little over 11 feet. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Here's our proposed development plan. This is the replacement tree that we've coordinated with the arborist to be planted to the west of the driveway. Here's our new driveway that'll lead up to the side of the home for a parking stall. There'll be a set of stairs and a walkway that connects to get from the parking stall to the existing walkway that takes you up to the front porch. Due to the existing slope, there'll be some small curbs along the side of the driveway to retain a little bit of earth. These will be at most 18 inches in height and then, decreasing down as they reach the end of the wall. There's an existing brick sidewalk along Lowell Street. That pattern will be carried through our driveway. And yeah, I guess you had to ask a question at the beginning about the purpose of this. This is for the homeowners to have closer access to their house with parking to support aging in place. And I think that generally wraps up my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And if you want me to jump back to any prior slides, I'd be happy to.
Okay, well, for now, if you could leave it on this slide, because I did have some questions. So, and I'm just reading it on the screen, but I looked both at your slides and Street View, and then today I was over by the property. And, between the sidewalk and then the sort of level of the front yard, I counted about 5 steps up. And then looking at this, where you have the new walkway coming perpendicular and heading to the west, am I reading it correct that there's 3 steps?
Yes, that's right.
So basically the driveway is going up the slope somewhat, but you're still channeling down with retaining walls.
That's correct. And what we're trying to do is maintain as much of that existing slope as we can while at the same time making a drivable driveway for a car.
Okay. And then the width of the curb cut I know is 9 feet. And then the driveway, does it maintain 9 or how
Yes,
wide
it
is
does.
the driveway?
9 feet the whole way through.
Okay, so you got roughly a foot, on the reading here on the left or on the west between the driveway and the property line.
Correct.
Two questions. What material do you propose for the retaining wall? And then secondly, how far off is the wall from the property line? Because I know the adjacent property owner has kind of a large fence that I assume is pretty close to the line itself.
Yeah, I guess so. The first question, and I'm going to jump back quickly to the photo. We're intending to do it in some sort of a brick similar to the pillars of the home here, or alternatively, maybe a stone finish. We're curious here if you guys have any feedback on that. And also we do meet, or we're on the agenda for historic later this month when they meet. And then to answer your second question, that wall is going to be up on the property line, and this is existing fence is this line that I'm hovering over my mouse with here. And we've notified the neighbors through the typical permitting process about the work, so they received the notification in the mail. We did not hear back from any neighbors from those notifications.
Okay. Well, this is the Historic Preservation Committee, and while we don't get as much into design issues as say the ARC or HPO staff, I would make the following observations. The driveway is proposed in not a lot of space. I assume you're meeting setback or other requirements, but it's close to the house, and so the driveway does become a sort of defining feature of how the house appears from the street. In walking by the house, I didn't see a retaining wall in the front, so nothing there would dictate what you use, but there is a very prominent wall, that's on the next door property that's low and continues to the property line. So, I would think brick or, more likely stone would, provide that kind of continuity and, I think allow it to blend in more. Also, you're the expert, not me, but just in what I observe, stone tends to hold up better than brick retaining walls, which, tend to bow, I think, earlier. So, as you look at it and talk to staff, just, I think anything that would, sort of be, because this is so prominent as compared to the house, anything that would allow it to blend in more with the landscape and, and the surrounding context, I think would be good.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that feedback.
Okay, and I'll have a couple more questions, but I'm going to defer to Commissioner Pagets at this point.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So is that a speed hump ahead sign in front of this house?
It is. Yes.
Okay. Um, so in
It's
your conversations with DDOT, I know that you're gonna have to remove street parking spaces for everybody else in the neighborhood to get this curb cut in. Is that gonna have any effect on that speed hump staying there or being removed because this project is happening and then that would cause that speed hump to need to be deleted or moved?
so the speed hump, and I'm going to just kind of scribble on top of the screen real quick. It's the limits of it are right here. So that would remain, and the sign that you saw in the photo is actually kind of right under this dimension right there.
Okay.
So that sign would stay, the speed hump would stay, and our driveway would be before you reach that speed hump coming down if you're going, I guess, eastward on Lowell Street.
Okay. Yeah, because you can't park on the speed hump right now, right?
I don't believe so. It's a speed table, so I think it levels off a bit. I guess I'm not entirely sure what DDOT's enforcement policy is on that. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had been parked there or parked there in the past.
Well,
Yeah.
drivers park wherever the hell they want, which is another, like, I don't like to park cars on the sidewalk, and that's essentially what this project is ultimately doing in the end. So I guess like I would I don't want that speed hump to be removed because it's there for a reason, because drivers, obviously this was a problem in the neighborhood. And I worry that I would like to get like some sort of confirmation that that speed hump doesn't get abolished in doing this project.
Yeah, we've no intentions of doing that. It's not in our scope of work with what we've submitted on tops. If you'd like, I could add a note to the plans that say speed table to remain, but there's nothing proposed in our scope of work that is planning to alter that in any way.
Yeah, I don't think that it would ever be in your scope of work, but DDOT gets its own funny ideas and its, sets of rules and standards that, I worry about them choosing to enforce or not sometimes.
Right. Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So yeah, for the speed hump, I guess if you're saying if DDOT comes along and wants to adjust or anything, our contractors will be doing the work out there. So we won't be doing any work to that. I don't think anyone from DDOT, they'll have inspectors out there, obviously, when we go to put the driveway in, but they won't be doing any of the work. So I don't think they'd be removing the speed table.
Okay. And then do you have to do anything, because as Rick was pointing out so thoroughly with the sloping, like, is there anything that has to happen with like drainage and then tying into like other systems and stuff to not ruin the foundation of the actual structure?
Yeah, so the drainage, if you see on the screen here, actually, it notes permeable pavement at the bottom. So the driveway levels off slightly to create a permeable section where water can infiltrate through the driveway. And that's how drainage would be addressed from water coming downhill from this parking area. It'll kind of percolate through the pavers into a gravel stone base beneath the pavers and then ultimately into the ground.
Okay. Cool. Because yeah, I think also to follow up on like Rick's point about the adjacent retaining wall, don't want to cause more damage to other properties in doing this.
Right, and that'll be protected during construction.
Those are all my questions for now, Rick.
Sure. So yeah, a couple of others, follow up on some of the ones that Commissioner Pagets had. So at the top of the slope, that is where the driveway parking pad, parking space levels out. So is that going to be paved or is that permeable also?
That will all be paved. It will not be permeable. The permeable will be down at the low end where the water runs down into.
Uh-huh. And then on the speed table issue, so I mean, I would agree with you. I don't necessarily see a reason why DDOT would want to remove the speed table. Further down Lowell Street, there's a speed hump that was installed quite close to an existing driveway. So, you're not intending to put your driveway right at the table itself. I don't really see that as an issue. But if you have the name of the DDOT engineer you've spoken to and can send that to us, that would be helpful and we can confirm that. I will say that it took a long time for DDOT to put traffic calming in this stretch of Wall Street, which gets a lot of traffic at certain times of the day with National Cathedral School just to the west and then John Eaton School to the east. And as Janelle said, we wouldn't want to have anything happen to the speed tables or speed humps because they're important to keep pedestrians safer.
Yeah,
Rick,
sure. The DDOT group that reviews it, it's a variety of sub-agencies. So I'll try to see who the best point of contact is, or I can send you the technician's email that kind of coordinates everything for our application and tops.
Okay, I mean it's possible they'll move the advisory sign, but I don't really see that part as an issue.
Rick, you should definitely include that in the resolution.
Yeah,
Just yeah, making sure that
it's maintained, not disturbed.
yeah, thank you.
And Mr. Lansman, either you or is it your brother I spoke with?
It is, yep.
Yeah, he said that, for the tree that urban forestry had said it would not be replaced in kind. Um, I'll be asking them to try to do that. I know that they have some concern about a vault or something like that, but Lowell Street, like so many streets around here, has lost a lot of its tree canopy, and unfortunately, DDOT and urban forestry are replacing shade trees with, little flower trees that never get very big, and it's changing the shade, but more importantly, helping to create a heat island. So, we'll be urging them to try to replace the tree in kind as much as possible. And if it means, moving the placement a little bit, that's obviously fine.
Yeah, I think I mean we were interested in that from the jump, but urban forestry kind of shot that down because that vault, they're often concerned with the below grade rootable volume is what they call it. And a certain size tree needs a certain amount of that volume to grow into. And due to that electric vault that's below grade, it doesn't really have that space. So that's why we landed there. But I very much understand your concern.
Well, obviously that's important, or, as they space it, it seems now to be closer to a tree to the west. Maybe if they shifted it more to the east of the driveway, it would maintain the approximate same spacing. So, anything that could be done to maintain and enhance the tree canopy, I think is something that would get a lot of community support and certainly from us.
Okay, understood.
Okay, so the final question, can you just confirm to me and to Commissioner Pagets in an email, that you've reached out to the abutting and front-facing property owners and when you did that? You know,
Sure.
I'd like to handle this on our consent calendar, but it's important to know that the neighbors have been contacted about the plans and had an opportunity to engage and weigh in on them.
Yes, can do. Yeah, that was part of our historic application, those notifications, but I can confirm that via
Okay,
email.
okay, that would be great.
Alright,
Okay,
great.
so let me just check who else is on the call.
Rick, I had another question on the follow-up of the notice. Sorry, are you the owner, Marty?
I'm not. I'm the civil engineer and permitter on behalf of the owner.
Do the owners live in the house right now?
I believe so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Because, like, to Rick's point about, like, fine, send them the mail notification. Like, some people don't check their mail. I don't know if the owners of the adjacent properties live there or renters live there. I don't know what the deal is. But it would be great if the owners of that property knocked on their neighbor's door and said, hey, I'm going to do a thing. It's obviously the neighborly thing to do, and I will never ever for the life of me understand why that doesn't happen more. Rick and I were talking about this last night. Just saying, hey, because we run into this a lot of times, and it ends up like creating so much unnecessary friction in a neighborhood that doesn't need it and shouldn't have it,
I totally hear you, and I'm fully supportive of good stewardship and being a good neighbor, and we can ask them to.
Thank you. I'd
Sure.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Okay, I'm just checking to see, are there first, are there any other ANC members who've joined? I don't see any others. Are there any community members, neighbors who are here, or anyone who wants to speak to this or ask questions about this application?
I don't see any.
Okay, well, with that, Mr. Landman, thanks very much for this presentation.
Yeah, thank you both commissioners for having me, and it was nice to meet you both.
Okay, great. So we'll get to the next item of business. And that would be 3521 35th Street. And Ms. Fediomi, thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah.
Is Ms. Atkinson here?
She is.
Yes,
We're both
that's
in the
me.
room.
We're both here.
Oh, good. Okay,
Good.
together. So
Yes.
that's helpful. So I realize that your plans have gone through several iterations, that you've gotten detailed comments from HPO staff, including in the staff report with several conditions, which I think you've been working on addressing. And then you've been twice to the ARC, the Architectural Review Committee,
Correct.
including last evening. So Ms. Atkinson, are you prepared just to kind of walk us through your revised plans?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm going to start first with the plat. Okay, so the scope of the project is to convert the existing structure into 2 independent units. Please note that the proposed basement unit cannot be rented unless the main house is owner occupied. The renovations will involve the construction of a rear and side addition. The side addition being 2 stories, and the basement and rear addition being 3 stories and a basement. Would you like me to elaborate on the plat in any way, or is that a fair enough summary for you?
Well, unless Commissioner Pagans has a question, you can move on.
Okay. So the sheet A1 shows the existing house as is, with the existing rear porch, dogleg and rear deck. The rear porch as is 2 stories with brick pier footings in the basement. And the first floor of the rear addition, Let me backtrack on that. We will be demolishing the existing rear porch and rear deck, both on the first floor and second floor, with the piers that are existing. And this is the existing elevations of the house, front, rear, and side. And here are the proposed plans. So the intent of the rear addition is to refurbish the existing rear porch while adding more living space to the interior with also a side addition. In total, about 146 square feet will be added to the house. That's not including the proposed rear deck. In the basement, you could see the separate unit, which has a kitchen, living area, 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. On the first floor, the layout primarily remains the same, but we are adding a mechanical room and a powder room. And on the second floor, we
Lori,
have.
can I just interject for a second? It's
Sure.
easier if you just review the dimensions of the agenda of the addition now while you have the plan up there. So looking at the side addition, which if you look at the proposed cellar, looks basically like it's encompassing the main bathroom. What is the, you know, it's almost like a square, but what is the dimension of that, the side addition?
On the side, it's going to be 9 foot 6 inches.
Okay, on 9 foot 6 inches square.
Yes, well, 10 foot wide.
Yeah.
And yes.
Okay, so but approximately square. And then the side addition is how far back in total from the front of the house?
Gosh, I'm trying to.
I can try to read it on my screen.
Yeah, and I can't see it myself. Hold on a second. It's about 42 feet, 5 inches.
Okay.
But it's 10 feet back from the existing house. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Right. You're adding on 10 feet in total, but you're also not going out until, as you said, you reach about 42 feet back from the front of the dwelling and even further from the front of the front porch. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Sure, go ahead. Thanks.
So I'm going to continue on to the second floor. We have a family area, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. And then the third proposed floor, which is an ensuite bedroom, with bath and a rear balcony. Okay. I mean, previously, the main issue with ARC and HPRB was trying to sort out how the main existing roof would connect with the proposed, especially side addition, which we solved. And HPRB, from what we spoke to Todd about, said he was going to approve the project based on the latest revisions, but sheet A5 shows how the existing roof would be connecting to the side addition. And A6 here is showing the rear elevation as well as the front. We're just showing here how the windows, which we worked on quite a bit as well. Well, the windows are, gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. So we spent a lot of time with the windows, making sure that they would complement the house, which we achieved both on the side addition and on the rear addition. If you look at the rear addition, we also have triple double hung windows to match what was originally part of the house, We also have on the third balcony or third floor, we initially had a railing, but we changed that and made it a parapet wall, which we thought would be a better integration of the design. So if we go to sheet A7, you see the side elevation of the house and how, again, the roof is, the new roof for the side addition is integrated with the existing house. For the most part, the windows on the existing house remain the same, I guess with the exception of the basement.
Okay, sorry, just to go back for a second. So, you're adding a new cellar door, basement door, right toward the front, just beyond.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, is that like meant to be a solid glass door, or is that just how it reads here?
To be honest, that's to be determined. We're open to suggestions on that, but because it is a cellar, because it is a basement, we would prefer for it to be a glass door.
Yeah, and it's on the side, so I
Yes.
think we'll leave that to the experts. But I did want to ask, I know the point had come up, I forget whether it was in HPO staff comments or the ARC, but that the windows be aligned as much as possible. And if you address that.
So that came up yesterday. ARC had their comments were about corner boards, sills, and like you mentioned, the window.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of different renditions of this design with different window placements. However, for the basement, again, due to sunlight, it's very hard to accommodate window placement because of the interior layout. So first floor, second floor, in the rear, the windows are pretty much aligned, but in the basement, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, from this rendition, I think even with the current alignment, it seems to work. Okay, please continue. Sorry.
No problem. So this sheet has actually been revised, but this shows just a comparison of our house and the addition in comparison to the adjacent neighbor. We're popping out about 10 inches or so above the current roof. We also have an existing flag test on the roof to show that you cannot see the proposed addition from the street front. You can't see this, you can't see it in A7, but the new revised drawings show the setbacks about 32 inches that we've set back the addition from the front existing roof.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay, thanks very much. And I as I mentioned at the outset, I know that you've gone through, some different iterations and have had some very substantive dialogue with both Todd Jones as well as the ARC. And, it seems as that you've responded in the main to those comments. And, I'd like to think the design has been improved. I noted in the staff report that, in some historic districts, if it were a solid line of row houses, a side addition would be problematic. But here, because it's the only attached house in this block, and because there are many freestanding houses that have well-designed side additions, this seems to work. My last question is one you might have anticipated from the discussion of the Lowell Street project, but would you or your client send to us an email just confirming that you have reached out to the adjacent abutting property owners and contacted them, and when you did so, and then obviously especially interested in the house just to the north that's on the corner of 35th Street and Porter Street, because the addition most directly affects them, and it's a lower house, and that's probably, accentuated by the fact that 35th Street is sloping to the north there too. So if you would just.
Absolutely. My client has in fact contacted quite a few of her neighbors, and we have emails to show that. I have sent plans to both adjacent neighbors via certified mail, and there is also a notice on the door describing the scope of work and what she intends to do.
Okay, I mean, to either of you, I mean, if you talked specifically to the property owner immediately next door, are they aware of this addition and the plan?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch your
Oh,
question.
has anybody, reached out, spoken with them directly, or are they aware of the addition and the?
Yeah, so Rick, I have, and I spoke to them, explained the scope of the work, and I shared the plans with them. So their concern is just to make sure that there isn't going to be any runoff from the project that impacts them, because as you noted, it slopes down, right? And then the other point that they asked, which we need to look into, is what drainage opportunities we're looking to consider for the project. Once again, kind of going back to the concern regarding runoff. So those are the 2 points that have been raised, and we're working on, really thinking through what would be an adequate, drainage that we need to factor into the side addition. And that's a point that we're discussing, because that feedback was given to us this week.
And I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know how long you've owned the property currently, but if you had issues with excessive runoff, from the existing house and including on the site where you'll be building the side addition.
Not that I've noticed. So I've owned the property for close to 6 months and haven't noticed any runoff, quite frankly. The one thing I would say is in the alleyway, it's at with the snow melting, you can tell the water slopes down the alley that is adjacent to 35th. But then on 35th in and of itself, I haven't noticed anything that quite frankly is concerning. But I would say the alley, I think the gradient is definitely steeper.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Pagets, do you have questions or comments?
No, this is pretty straightforward. I think it looks good.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I appreciate that you talk to your neighbors. So
Yeah,
Like-
no, being new
Interesting.
to that block, definitely want to ensure that I'm being as transparent as possible and bringing them along. Yep.
Yeah. No, it's good. And again, I want to thank you because, side additions can be challenging, particularly, as here where there's an attached, where the houses are attached. But I think in working through the process, I realize at times that can seem lengthy and maybe even at times a bit frustrating. But from what I see, you've been really responsive to constructive feedback, and the project has been much improved. And hopefully you'll be happy with it, and your adjacent neighbors will be fine too.
Agree. Thank you.
Janelle, anything else from you?
Nope. If you just wanted to let them know next steps.
Sure. So given where we are, I checked our file and I also checked the HPRB file, and I don't see any letters specifically pro or con, but certainly nothing negative. And as I said, I've been through the staff comments and the first ARC report. And we'll look at the second one, but at this point, I anticipate that we'll be putting this on the consent calendar for next week with a resolution of no objection, which is a supported resolution for to HPRB for concept approval.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other? Thank you as well. Is there any other business for the committee this evening? Okay,
I think so.
okay, well, hearing none, again, want to thank you both for presenting, with that, I guess we're adjourned.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Good night.
Mike,
Thank you for your time. Oh,
Okay, thank you.
if you can hang on for 1 second,
Sure.
and then thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay. You gonna stop?